Well, hello, Hannah, and congratulations on this new lighting system. Wow, you really came in at the right time. An entirely new DMX controlled lighting system, LED lighting system, a new JBL line array system, just so many things, a new laser projector, all the things that your the previous directors there at El Dorado didn't have, you have at your disposal. We know that this lighting system, as a DMX controlled LED system, has an extra level of complication to it that an incandescent system wouldn't normally have. And so, that being the case, we want to take you through the best way that we know to have immediate control of this lighting system. So I'm sending you a file you have the MyDMX software on your laptop. I'm sending you a file which is the most recent thing and the most complete thing that we put together to control the lighting system with. So I'm going to switch over and show you. This is the software. When you open it, it's pretty much a blank slate. However, I can go to File, Open, and then I'll go to the software. It's ESD.dv, I think, but we're just naming it ESD. So I'll open that. You see loading fixtures, loading everything. So, all right, here we go. So here's our first thing here on the left that I want to talk about. There's 4 tabs over here on the left. Patch, Edit, Live, Show. So let's talk about Patch first. This is how we we set up an entire lighting setup. Over here I've got a scan library. In other words, I can search for any fixture. And if I'm online, I even have more options. I can search for any fixture here, or I can search for a brand and go from there, or I can just scroll through and everything is here. There's drop down menus. When I select on something, sometimes it'll say, let's see if I can do mode 1, mode 2. So there's all of these different things, and then when I get to what I want, I can just drag it into the DMX channel map over here on the right. This is I can add different universes here to operate with. We've got everything into one universe, which was very, very close. You can see here's channel 1. This is channel 512. There's very little in between, so very little space left. So this system was just about as big as it could be to fit in one universe. Of course, I can't always go over here, add another universe, and control that as well. But in here, what we've done is we've placed everything according to fixture. So channels 1 all the way through channels 148 are Fresnels. These are Blizzard, Oberon, Fresnel, Zoom. You can see when I hover over a fixture, it gives me what I've named it, and you can rename it simply by right-clicking and click Rename. But we've named it according to its position. So I've got its position on electric 1 on the stage, and it is fixture 3. From the left to the right, facing the stage, it is fixture 3. You can also see that it tells me what type of light it is, what universe it's in, what address it starts with, and how many channels it occupies. Down here, the first light on the left, start on the electric 1, you can see electric 1.1. Electric 1, fixture 1, is an ellipsoidal, the ELPCL LED. And then there's another one right beside it, electric 1.2. And then the next one is a Fresnel, electric 1.3, so on and so forth. So we have named these according to where they are on the electric. You can see we've got, this is the hot stick cob 2s. They are the curtain wash, so we've named it curtain wash. And then past all of the electrics, we've got the catwalk down here. And we've named them according to their position and how many lights occupy that channel, that position. So we've got center stage, 4 fixtures. Those are the 2 on the far left, far right, and the 2 directly in the middle. That's our center stage illumination. Stage right, 2 fixtures. dot 5, dot 4, dot 3, dot 2. So those are working from the outside to the inside. So that's kind of, we've tried to make it as self-explanatory as possible, and this is the side wash times 4, by naming them what they are, where they are, etc. So we tried to rename those instead of them just being, Oberon, Fresnel, Zoom, dot 1, same thing, dot 2. We've renamed them to try to make sense of that. However, this is what it is unless you're going to change the orientation of the lighting instead of just the position of each individual light, but you want to change actually where it is and all that stuff. That's up to you. It's your system. If you need our help in any of that, we can walk you through and talk you through some of that. However, that's what the patch section is. When we go down to the next tab is the Edit tab. Edit allows us to actually create scenes. Just under that is the Live button, which is the same thing, except I can't edit it. So when I'm running a show, it keeps me from accidentally making changes to the scene. So once I'm done editing a scene, I should probably drop down to Live and run it from Live. So it's just a play only, whereas this is a record and play. So I can actually see what I'm doing and go through and look at and make sure that I've got what I want, and then I can click over to Live and run it from there. So in the Edit section, we can just start by adding a new scene here. I can just click on it. It says just generic scene. If I add another one, it's going to say scene 2. I can right click and delete or duplicate a scene. That's really handy because I don't have to rebuild each one from scratch. I can just duplicate it and then make changes like that. So, but anyway, so here I've got scene. I'm going to rename this over here on the far right. I can double click where it says scene right here on the properties. And I'm going to name this opening act. Very generic and very misspelled. So opening act. Okay, and I'll hit enter. And you can see my button changed to say opening act. Now I can proceed with setting this up. I will highlight it, and then I can go down here and set the fixtures, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I can set the fixtures any way I want, and then I can move on, add a new scene, and then keep going from there. And when I switch over to Live, there's my scene. Very, very easy. Over here in the properties, I have steps that I can add to each scene. I can add fade times. I can add triggers. I can add audio triggering, which we're not set up for, but there's a lot of different functions within the properties right here that it's just going to be a matter of playing around with those and seeing what you can do with the lights there. So once I get those set up the way I want, then I click on Live and I can run it from there. And you can see I've got just play functions over here. Instead, I've got a master dimmer that I can turn everything up and down, and we do have a train that runs by our office, so I hope you can still hear me. So our master dimmer is basically everything within that scene. I can fade that scene out if I want to, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so those are all playbacks options over here. So let's talk about down here at the bottom section. So this bottom section, it gives me control of my fixtures for setting up the scenes here. On the left here, I've got 3 tabs, just similar to the ones at the top. I've got 3 tabs. It's a fader tab, which shows me all of the faders associated with that fixture. I've got, these are the ellipsoidals, and so all the ellipsoidals are 10 channel lights, so I've got a lot of function for my ellipsoidals. The next one down is palette. Palette is very similar to the faders. I still have a lot of my faders, but anything that having to do with color, I've got a color wheel, and so I can adjust this color wheel. If I'll select a light, I can adjust this color wheel, and I can see that reflected. If I'm connected to the lights, I can see that reflected in the lights as I'm editing it. And then effect is mostly for moving heads and things like that. However, I can add effects to where, like a curve effect, where I can actually fade colors through all of the fixtures. I can just do a lot of really bizarre things that may or may not be practical for you in a theater setting. So here, let's go back to the fader section, which is the one you'll use most, other than being able to use this palette, because it gives me individual channel control of each instrument. So those are right here. Now let's talk about down here, these small little tabs that are oh so important down here just above our Windows bar here. So general is too much information. It's every channel for every light, so it's all 512 channels and their functions and so on and so forth. The next one, hot stick cob 2. You can see they're arranged according to instrument type. So hot stick cob 2, that's our curtain washes. So the curtain wash is all of the channels. There are 10 channel lights, so here's all of the channels associated with the curtain wash. The platen line single dimmer 10 amp, even though that's a mouthful, all it is your house lights. Your house lights have one dimmer. They are LED lights. They've been changed over to LED lights before us, and they are, I don't think they're dimmable. They flicker a lot. We'll put it that way when you try to dim them. But thankfully, you have several positions of dimming. So you have you can light up just the sides, you can light up just the back, just the front. You know, so you can get a lot of dimming done just by using just specific sections of house lights on full. But anyway, so that's what that is. The next one is the Oberon Fresnel zooms, which is all of your Fresnels that are on the stage. Then you got ELPCL LED, which are your ellipsoidals, and that's all of the ellipsoidals on the catwalk, on the sides, and on the stage. So now let's talk about, so we've got all of these functions here that we're going to talk about in a minute, but let's move over here to the map. This what's so cool about this software, it allows us to actually put the lights in the position that we want them to be in. When we first add them, they're all in rows, but we can drag them. We can click right here on the cursor, and we can actually take a light and drag it around and put it where we want it to be in reference to where it is in the system. And so it gives us a really good visual about where the lights are and which lights we're controlling and things like that. For instance, if I click on this one right here, by the way, this is, if you see that when I hover over, it's the side wash. It represents all four side wash, or the two sides with two lights on each bar, so it's a total of 4 lights being represented by this one. But when I click on it and I go over here and I let me get everything pulled down, and I'll take control and I'll add some things. You can see that it starts turning red when I turn it red. So I'm getting a visual of what's going on with that light. And as I move on to other lights, they will all keep their representation, so you have a visual here. Even when you're not connected to the system, you can set up a lighting show just by watching this, and then come in and run it in the auditorium. So you don't have to sit on that hard wooden stool like I did setting this up. You can actually set this up at your desk and then come in and plug in and run it. So these are the positions. So here we've got the catwalk, and keep in mind it's only going to give me control of what's highlighted down here. You can see there's our Fresnels. They're ready to be edited. There's our ellipsoidals, and when I click on one, it selects all of them at the same time. I can click off and select one individual light or groups of lights. I can drag over this group right here and control just those and set those, and then move on to these right here and then set those, and so on and so forth. So it's very very flexible in that way. So so let's move on. Let's talk about the control of each type of fixture. So the hot stick Cop 2s, hot stick Cop 2s are our curtain wash lights, and I have 10 channels that of control here. The first one is my dimmer. Great thing is when you highlight over it, it tells you what it does. The dimmer has to be up. That's my intensity. It doesn't do anything until I tell it what color I want. So I can do color mixing here. There's it's hard to get that ESD purple somewhere in there. Perhaps it'd be easier if I went over to the palette and pulled it in like that, dialed it in a little bit better. Maybe something like that. And of course, all of this as I'm editing is visible on the stage if I'm connected. If I'm not, that's okay, because it is probably more like that. Because I can make all the see my editing, what my editing is doing right here. So there's that. And then so dimmer, red, green, blue, amber, white. This is great because I can actually wash the backstage, the curtain. I can wash the curtain. If I wash the curtain with like white light, that's like 10,000 K white light right there. It actually makes the whole back of the stage just look like it's glowing. It looks like daylight to me on the back of the stage. And so those are color sliders. We've got a strobe, so you can see if I turn up and I turn up my strobe, you can see over here how it's flashing. I've got a strobe, which is awesome for lightning effects, and I've got other functions as well. So on the dimmers, we get one slider. It's off or on, and we really need to be full on or full off because they flicker when you try to dim them. And so then we've got that represented right here off to the side. All of our house lights we put over here on the side. The Oberon Fresnels, there are 3 channels. They're you can see they're coming on. That's my dimmer, and I've got a zoom. So when I have that all the way up, they will zoom out to over 50 degrees, if I'm not mistaken, which basically if I select all of them and zoom them all the way out, it basically washes the entire stage with light. Now I can select, here let me hover over and select all of them again and turn them down. But I can select one light, which is pretty neat, and I can push the dimmer up, but I can leave it in narrow down here. All the way down is as narrow as it'll go. It's about 19 degrees. So that gives me an option to spot just an area with one light. I can do that, and then I can pull in maybe an ellipsoidal from over here to do some cross lighting, and then a catwalk over here on the catwalk to get some good front lighting. And I can really hone in on one little position here on the stage with this zoom function, where I'm not just washing a whole section, but I can zoom it down to where it's more particular to a certain spot. Okay, and then the next thing is the Fresnels. The ellipsoidals. The ellipsoidals are RGB AWL. They're red, green, blue, amber, white, lime. So there are 10 channels. The first channel is not like the other ones. It's not the dimmer. It's the shutter. So you can see the shutter is closed when it's black. When I'm all the way up, it's white. I've got some strobe things and all kinds of stuff here in the middle, but I want that all the way up if I just want to use it in normal mode. And when it's white, the shutter's open. The next one is the dimmer. So that's my dimmer. Still, I don't have anything going on because I haven't added any color. So there's red, green, blue, lime, and amber. Now this is a really cool function right here. This right here, the number 4 slider, is white temperature. So if I'm wanting to use, let's say I just want to use specific lights for on the stage for front lighting, or maybe one light for front lighting, I can open my shutter, turn my dimmer all the way up, and now I've got instead of color, when I start going up with this, I'm going through white temperatures all the way from 2000K all the way to 10,000K. So from deep amber almost to a really nice incandescent into a cool white all the way to almost a blue white. So I can dial in the perfect color temperature for different skin tones, for anything on every scene in every position. That's very handy right there. So that's the ellipsoidals. So let's come back over here and let's talk about the map a little bit more, about the way it is laid out. By the way, I can click right there and that gives me a drag, so I can do that. I can zoom out, I can zoom in. I'll have to unlock it to click the cursor again, and I do have some things in a drop down here, but the cursor is the most handy thing. There's other functions, but this is basically where we live. So I can, if I've got the ellipsoidals here selected, Oberon, so on. Let me talk about the way they're laid out. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that the Oberon Fresnels are laid out like you see them: electric 1, electric 2, electric 3, and then these are on the curtain, between the curtain wash lights. And then, except for this one right here, this one is named Stage Manager. We have one light that is focused in on the Stage Manager section over here, just to give a little bit of extra illumination on this entrance from the Black Box Theater, etc. So we just named that Stage Manager, but all the other ones are rear left, rear center, rear right, and then named according to their position on the electric. You can see electric 3, electric 2, electric 1, and then this is our catwalk. So we've got our catwalk represented over here. Let me drag it up a little bit. Our catwalk is represented right here. They're all ellipsoidals, so let's just go to the ellipsoidals. All right. So the way we've got the catwalk laid out is a little bit unique. We didn't do it necessarily like we did on the stage, because on the stage, basically, you can move these lights to be whatever you want. It's not about the position as much as it is about its location on the electric. But you can position these any way you want, focus on different areas, so it's impossible for us to say this lights up this position, this lights up, because you're going to do that however you want it. However, on the catwalk, it's more fixed, of a fixed deal that may not be changed as much. So what we have is, starting in the middle here, we've done it this way instead of essentially all the lights are straight across. However, we did it this way to represent what it is illuminating. Center stage, 4 fixtures. It's the 2 in the middle and the 1 on each end. And then just down here is the apron fixtures. It's 2 fixtures that illuminate the apron area around the edge of the stage, where a lot of people end up standing and talking and things like that, or maybe you want an extra scene happening in front of the stage, things like that. So we gave you that option there. And then on each side we've got stage left, which includes 2 fixtures, one straight on and one from the right side for cross lighting. And then we've got stage left dot 2, stage left dot 3, dot 4, dot 5. Adversely, over here on the right, we've got stage right, 2 fixtures, dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4, dot 5. And then over here, like we talked about, these are our side wash. It's 4 lights involved, 2 on each side, but that's our side wash lights. And then our house lights right here. And then our this one is representing our curtain wash right here. So we just kind of try to lay that, and you can drag these around and position them if it makes more sense some other way. But it's when you first bring them in from the patch section, it just puts them all in a row according to instrument type. And so what we did is we just kind of arranged those the way it looks on the stage. So there's that. Okay, now What we're going to talk about now is the MyDMX3.0. I believe that you can manage this software quite easily. There's tons of tutorials online if you have any questions about editing functions and things like that. But the MyDMX3.0 is a little bit more involved. The MyDMX3.0 came after the software. The software was designed to be able to be triggered different ways. So you can trigger a scene with, say, let's see, there's specific softwares that run entire shows, from the lighting to the what goes on the projection or the LED video walls. What happens with all of these automations. Well, it can be triggered by any of those things. However, later on they developed the MyDMX3.0, which was a very cool idea. However, it's very obvious that it was an afterthought. So let me take you through the process of how they've accommodated that. It may be the most complicated thing we talk about in this tutorial. However, I'm going to take you through that. Once you kind of know where it is and know how to do it, it's easy. But figuring out for the first time without someone showing you is a pain, trust me. So real quick, let's go through this. Now, I do not have the hardware connected. I can edit this show all day long, but if I don't have the hardware connected, it will not recognize the hardware. So I'm going to have to talk you through some of that without actually you seeing it here in front of you. The first thing that I want to do is I want to set up, I'll go to Edit, and I'll select one of the scenes. Right now, all of these scenes are currently on the MyDMX3.0 there in the auditorium. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scenes programmed, and the last scene is scene 16. The last button is button 16, and it actually just has a B on it because they want you to reserve that last button for a blackout. Remember, DMX lighting does not just turn off when you unplug. It will operate on the last command you gave it. So you want to have a blackout button to send a command for everything to go to black. I've got all of these currently on there. There's center stage plus house, center stage, obviously I'm British, the way I spell center, but center stage minus house. There's stage left plus house, stage right plus house. Stage right plus house is where everybody wants to be with that podium for some reason. But I guess they'll have tables in the middle or something like that, but that's one of those are two of the most common speaking positions that I could see besides center stage. The apron plus house, so that's if somebody's talking like the football coaches do around the apron there, they could use that if they want. Full white is just for fun. It's every light on full white, and so it's incredibly bright. It's just to impress you. So and then we've got stage plus purple. Stage plus purple is just a lot of purple. You can see it's just a lot of purple light on the stage plus front lighting. And then this is the one we were just playing around with. So let's use this one to set up. So we're in Edit. We've selected the scene. What we want to do is we want to set this scene up to be triggered by another device. So we have to enable what is called port triggering. Port triggering is over here in the properties. I've selected it in the edit function, selected it in properties, triggers right here. So we'll go, this is MIDI triggering, keyboard triggering. I can trigger with keyboard keys. This is triggering over DMX. This last one right here, edit port mapping. That is where we need to be. How in the world would you know that button is there for the MyDMX3.0 unless somebody told you? You wouldn't. However, now that you know, triggers, the last one on the right, we click on that. Now you can see that it is all grayed out because I have to enable it for port triggering. Once I've selected that and checked that box, then I've got device, port, and the button which isn't necessary for us. But on device, we'll drop down. Now, if I'm connected to the MyDMX3.0, that will be in the list. I am not, so it's not, but this would be in the list. I would select it, and then it would recognize all of the ports available to me. And I would click on that, and it would give me a drop down, and it would start with 1, 2, 3, 4, on down to 16. And I would select which port I want to use in that device. And like I said, button is not important. As long as we have these two done, we're done. And then I hit OK, and it will save that. And then I will go to the next scene and do the same thing. Port triggering, the device, blah, blah, blah. Now, if a device is if a port already has a scene attached to it, there will be an asterisk beside the number. That's okay. You can always overwrite that, and just click on it anyway. But it just there for reference to let you know that that there is something there that's been programmed, so you can keep better track of things. So, all right. So I've got it all set up in the software, but I haven't done anything with the hardware. So just because I've got the software ready for port triggering doesn't mean that I've actually programmed the hardware. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to Tools, Hardware Manager. Now, if I'm connected to to that specific hardware, it will show up right here. It says there is no device connected, but it will be in this list, and it won't look like the hardware. It'll be like a little box, and it'll have a funky name. But if you're connected to the MyDMX3.0, that's it. So you would select that, and when you click on that, it will give you two things right here, which we're not going to be able to see right now. It's going to give you a column on the left and a column on the right. The column on the left is everything that you've set up here for port triggering. The column on the right is the hardware itself. So it will show, if something's already programmed on there, it will show those things. If blank, it won't show anything if there's nothing programmed on it. However, what I will do is I can drag things on and off and in between those two columns. So basically, I can grab a scene and drag it to the position I want on the MyDMX3.0, like that. If I want to get rid of something on the MyDMX3.0, I can click on it and erase it. There's 4 buttons across the top here, if I'm not mistaken. Read, write, erase, and something else, but very, very basic. So once I've got it looking the way I want it to be on the MyDMX3.0, it's not actually on the MyDMX3.0 until I push write. When I click write, it writes that information onto the hardware, at which point I can get out of the software, I can unplug my computer, and the hardware, the MyDMX3.0, takes full control at that point. Now, something to keep in mind is as long as my computer is connected to the hardware, to the MyDMX3.0, via USB, the little USB cable that's sitting on top of the rack there, as long as that's connected, the MyDMX3.0 does not function to select presets. It is only an interface to the lighting. If I unplug from my computer, the MyDMX3.0 then takes control in the stead of your computer. So that's important to note. So there are also there are 4 sheets of paper up on top of the rack there alongside the USB connection cable that we've left you there, and that kind of shows the DMX mapping. It shows the position of the lighting. It shows some information about the lights. So I hope that's useful for you as well. But if you have any questions, be sure and let us know. It's jerry@bensberg.tech. So it's BENSBERG.TECH. And let us know if you have any issues or have any other questions. Remember that because we're using a common control software, there is a ton of information online as well, and there's a lot of discussion groups and forums and YouTube videos and just all kinds of stuff. But let us know if you need anything from us. We are so happy for you. Congratulations. New lighting, new sound, new projection, everything that you need. We hope you have all the tools that you need going forward. But let us know how we can help. I know that you did mention about the black box. We would love to work with you on that as well. If you can communicate that to Mr. Tucker or allow us to, and we can maybe move forward with something and getting you something that you can use there. So, all right, Hannah, thank you so much for sticking with us and being patient through this process. It did take a while trying to get everything that we needed in, but I think that we've given you something that's going to last you for many years in the future. So, congratulations. And if you need anything, give us a call.